Do you ever buy a video game? Yeah, probably. Do you ever buy a video game and for whatever reason it just surprises you? It could be because it was much better than you're expecting, much worse than you're expecting, or sometimes there's just something in a game that makes you go, wow. Once again, I'm gonna go ahead and guess yes because you clicked on a video all about it. Well, this is a list all about games that surprised me, apart from the bit where Ducky talks about a game that surprised him, but, well, you know, that would just be a really pedantic video title. If there's one thing you're going to learn about me from this list, it's that I'm retarded. Should it really be a surprise that I loved Metal Gear Solid 2 the first time I played it? Probably not, but it still surprised me. Metal Gear was always a series I wanted to get into, ever since I played a demo for it on one of those weird PS1 demo discs that made you feel like you took some bad acid on the main menu screen. It wasn't until many years later that I'd actually get my first Metal Gear game, which was Peace Walker for the PSP, and I didn't finish it. So then I tried Metal Gear Solid 3, and I didn't finish that one either. Metal Gear Solid 1 was the same story, so when I bought MGS2 at a charity sale for £5, I wasn't expecting all that much. I played it beginning to end in 2 days, and I loved it. I don't know what it was about MGS2 that just clicked for me. Maybe it's the totally awesome story, maybe it's the super slick controls and the awesome stealth mechanics, maybe it's Raiden's gorgeous hair, but whatever it was, this game got me hooked to Metal Gear Solid, leading me on to finishing Metal Gear Solid 1 and loving it, Peace Walker and loving that, and Metal Gear Solid 3 that I still didn't like all that much. The only thing I can really fault MGS2 on would be that when I said at the beginning that I had never finished Metal Gear Solid 1, it then cut out the entire first chapter of the game, which I didn't learn about until a day or two after finishing it. Thanks, Kojima. The Crash Bandicoot series is one I never got into as a child. Sure, we had a few of them lying about the house, and I do get pretty nostalgic over the third one, but I sucked at them and thus never played them all that much. So when I picked up Crash Twinsanity, I didn't really know what to expect apart from some awesome music. What I got was a pretty awesome platformer, which was full of personality and humour. Sure, it felt rushed in some areas, and it isn't the best Crash game, but it was still pretty good, and similarly to MGS2, made me go back and play through a lot of Crash games I had missed out on. Now if only Activision would release a Crash game that didn't suck colossal bollocks, that would be pretty good of them. Oh yeah, and I made a video about it ages ago, but who gives a shit? If you've ever played an RPG, then chances are you've come across one of these. An item shop is a welcome respite for any adventurer, allowing you to restock on items and weapons. Weapons which will be replaced almost instantly, as the first monster you come across will no doubt drop something better than what you just bought, but weapons nonetheless. So have you ever thought to yourself, golly, all this questing and saving the world stuff is swell and all, but what I really want to do is run an item shop? No. No one has ever thought that. Why would anyone think that? If I wanted to slave away in a small room over insignificant numbers, I'd stay in my own room and look at my YouTube analytics. In any case, Resetia, an items shop tale, is a game that exists, and it's a game where you manage an item shop. Resetia, the name taken from the two main characters, a little girl and her fairy companion, is an RPG that uses a mix of 3D and 2D graphics, and has a cutesy anime art style. And I know how much you guys love anime, but what makes it different to the developer's previous game, Chantilly's? A game's which name is taken from the two main characters, a little girl and her fairy companion, which uses a mix of 3D and 2D graphics and has a cutesy anime art style. Well, to put it bluntly, Resetia is actually good. It's half item shop management and half dungeon crawling, and while its gameplay is simple, it is still pretty fun to play. There's something just so satisfying about selling items for ridiculous prices and the customer being none the wiser. And really, this game is on the list because I would have never guessed that a game about managing an item shop could actually be fun, and this game proved me very, very wrong. Star Wars games have been around since pretty much the release of the first movie. Some of them are very good, some of them are very bad, and some of them just make you wonder why they even tried in the first place. The only ones I ever really played great amounts of were the LEGO Star Wars games, and they were alright, I guess. So when I bought Battlefront 2, I didn't really know what to expect. What I got was probably one of the greatest multiplayer shooters ever made. What a delightful surprise! Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was released in Japan as Doki Doki Panic, is basically the love child between George Lucas, Battlefield 2, with a bit of turn-based strategy thrown in for good measure. Whether it's destroying the rebel forces on that planet where Luke met Yoda, or annihilating the Sith scum on that planet where Anakin transformed into an old man through the power of burning hot lava, no other Star Wars game quite matches up to the sheer scale this game offers, and also serves as a pretty good reminder of how long it's been since I've watched any of the movies, as you could probably tell. Really, there's only two things you can fault it on. One being its cover art, and the second one being that its sequel, which looked freaking amazing, went and got cancelled. Now DICE are of course making a new one, but, well, it looks like Battlefield 4. And I didn't like Battlefield 4. Fuck. Have you ever wanted to run an empire that could stand the test of time? Then Civilization V, or 5 as the cool kids call it, is the game for you. Choose your civilization from a list of, oh god, so many. Choose your map and then you are ready to begin a game that will last over 8,000 years. I think the surprise of this game was not because I love it so much, but because it took me so long to discover the series. It's such an awesome idea, commanding your country all the way from the year 4000 BC into the distant future, building cities, expanding, researching, and of course, dicking over every other civ in the game. Every leader is filled to the brim with personality, and I can't think of another game that lets me take an army led by Queen Elizabeth into an all-out war against Gandhi. Now I know Civilization 4 is better from a content standpoint, but I discovered Civ 5 first, and I feel it's easier to get into. Civ 4 is good, but you really have to be in the right mood for it. With Civ 5, it's launched the game, wait about 5 minutes for it to load, take over a couple of cities, and before you know it, it's already 5 o'clock in the morning and all you have to show for yourself is an empire that spans across the globe, with city names such as Dogbollocks and Raging Dong. I can honestly say that Civ 5 is one of my favourite games of all time, so I'm not gonna say you guys should check it out or anything, but that is exactly what I'm saying. Now my opinion is all well and good, and trust me, I know it is, but top 10s can cover so much stuff that my opinion, despite how brilliantly amazing it is, can't provide a totally 100% awesome good list of things. Wow, it's really obvious I wrote this part at 2 o'clock in the morning. But who should I get to assist me? I need someone as brilliant as I am. Someone who doesn't hate me so that they'll actually consider helping me. Someone with a sexy German accent. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you DuckyGamerDeluxe.
Oh, hello Alex. Hello Alex audience, and welcome to my part in his top 10 list. I'm extremely happy you invited me to do this. I mean, I am pretty much the perfect choice for this, as this is after all a list about...
Games that surprised you.
What? Games that surprised me, like the production team tries to tell me right now. And although it would have been cool if my manager told me the subject maybe a few minutes before we went live, it's probably also cool for you to see how I try to hide my incompetence by talking stupid shit. I mean, I get the money anyway, so sorry for wasting your time, I apologize. As I now pretty much nailed this introduction thing, we can now come to my pick for a surprising game, and although a few games were minor surprises, whether good or bad, because their quality was just not as I expected it, there will probably never be again a game that surprised me in a positive way as much as Scribblenauts. Or to be precise, Scribblenauts Unlimited. I played this game for no other reason than pure boredom and the rejection to work on videos, which can be an extremely dangerous combination, and at first I just thought that this game is completely stupid, and it looked to me a bit like an educational game for 7-year-olds who just learned writing. Combined with a simple art style, it made me expect the worst, but what I then got was a clever, light-hearted and overall interesting game. Your mission is to save your sister by helping people all over the world with everything you write down becoming real. That is an awesome concept, and the execution is also done pretty good. Not perfect, but as said, I had a lot of fun with this game, although such games normally never catch my interest. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate now, it still can be as simple as the writing thing for kids if you don't have the right imagination. You can give a person who wants to sit a chair, but I mean, that's not what a creative mind can think of when you want to sit on something. I mean, a dirty mind can think of a certain thing in this case, but I think I don't want to get too deep into that section. Too deep. Puns. You can also add an adjective to already existing things, but that doesn't work always. I mean, every word works in theory, but sometimes you do the right thing and the game completely ignores that you're right. This girl, for example, wants someone who goes with her on an epic quest, so I thought, man, if there's one who can protect her, then it's the Dark Knight. And no, they don't accept Batman, trust me, I tried. She didn't want him, so I tried other stuff like a traveler or a magician, and after a few tries the game told me that she wants someone who wields a sword. I simply typed in knight and she accepted it. So what's your story? The Great Black Knight is not good enough but the average white one is? That's racist, you dumb bitch. Sometimes the game forces you to accept simpler solutions than you can imagine, but I think that's just the limitation of video games. The brain can imagine nearly everything, but you can't program everything as a solution to every single puzzle. Like this guy wants to make himself look like a real cop. Best thing for him to do would be to shoot an innocent unarmed black guy, but that's something the developers didn't think of. Although that's pretty logical, I mean, especially if you're an American. So Scribblenauts Unlimited. It's not the perfect game and it won't take your imagination to a new level, but it just feels fresh if you haven't played games like that, and it's definitely a step in the right direction. As someone who doesn't give a shit for puzzle games, this was still really surprising and fun. Okay, Alex, I think you have to go on now, because the next thing I would start with were Hitler end jokes, and I think we both don't want to reach that point, so see ya!
Now, I was one of those kids who never got to play Grand Theft Auto growing up, because there was a number 18 on the box, which meant I couldn't play it until I was that old. So when I finally got to play GTA 4 at age 16, there was obviously a lot of hype surrounding it for me, as I would finally get to play the game I had wanted to play since I was a kid. And I didn't like it. This came as a massive surprise to me, because Bully, another Rockstar game which is literally GTA but in a school, is a game that I absolutely adore, so what gives? Maybe it's the fact that I can't think of any likeable characters. Like, at all. Take GTA 4 for example. You play as a Serbian with a personality so weak you could have replaced him with a plank of wood and no one would have noticed, going around New York with his annoying alcoholic and lying cousin who doesn't stop talking about them big American titties. Why am I supposed to care about these people? Maybe it's the fact the games try to be realistic, so the moment you try to do something fun, your health bar is instantly depleted by either a 5-foot fall or a shotgun you couldn't see off screen. Or maybe it's the fact it's just the same thing over and over again. Okay, hi, welcome to Grand Theft Auto. For your first mission, I need you to drive over here. Okay, cool, well done. Next mission, I need you to drive in another location this time. Okay, awesome. Third mission, now we're gonna drive somewhere and do something illegal, so you get to use the pay and spray. You know those, right? The things that have been there since GTA 3, which is why we need a separate mission in each and every game explaining how it works. Also, the obligatory gun tutorial level about 3 missions after you've already picked up a gun from some random person you ran over in the streets. Yeah, that sums it up pretty well. I just preferred Bully. There were likeable characters and total asshole characters. The missions were different and varied. You have an actual decent amount of health because there's no guns, and there were no goddamn phone calls from Roman. And to be honest, I do feel pretty bad for shitting all over these games, because as much as I couldn't get into them, I recently bought GTA 5, and I actually think is really goddamn good because it addresses pretty much all the problems I've had with all the other ones. To the Moon is a game. See, it's this type of top-notch investigation work that got me to where I am today. It's a game I didn't really expect all that much of when going into it. I mean, when I heard it was made in RPG Maker, I wasn't expecting anything great, when you consider what kind of stuff is made on it. Kinda like how Unity has a bad reputation now, because of all the utter crap that's been made on it. I guess looking back, I wasn't 100% wrong, because from a gameplay standpoint, it does suck pretty hard. You walk around a small area as you click on everything like a deranged madman trying to find some balls so you can move on to the next area. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter that the gameplay isn't all that great, because it works well for what the game is trying to achieve, and more than makes up for it with an amazing story. And by an amazing story, I mean probably one of my favourite video game stories of all time. I really don't want to talk about it too much here, because the game is much better if you have no idea what to expect going in, but the way you learn about characters in-game and the way the story unfolds is done incredibly well, and is something I would recommend everyone experiences. It will make you laugh, or cringe depending on how much you like pop culture references, and while it does have some flaws, like how it runs in a resolution that would have probably been acceptable in 1991, at least you can finally say you found a time that Windows Magnify was actually helpful. When it comes to racing games, there really is something out there for everyone, from fun kart races like Mario Kart and Sonic All-Stars Racing, to frantic racing games like Burnout or Flatout, and even games set in the distant future. One subgenre of driving games I've never really been able to get into, however, are the simulators. I normally find them incredibly boring, and let's face it, nowadays you only really have two choices, Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport, and I own neither a PlayStation Quadruple nor an Xbox Single to play them. But there is one simulation driving game out there that I like, and I don't think anyone playing it for the first time ever expected to like it either. Euro Truck Simulator 2, an aptly named title because no country in Europe calls them trucks, is a game that has made quite literally some appearances on my channel as filler footage, because I fucking hate getting filler footage and it's the only game I could think of getting footage from. Now I know what you're thinking, oh god, this guy has lost his mind. But please let me explain myself. In Euro Lorry Simulator 2, you play as a lorry driver, as represented by a selection of the cheesiest mugshots known to mankind, running your own lorry company as you complete jobs across Europe. If I had to boil it down to two reasons as to why I like this game, it would have to be that because it's free roam, and let's face it, Europe is a pretty goddamn big map to explore, and the leveling system makes it super satisfying to complete jobs. You wouldn't believe how many girls I've picked up by telling them I'm a level 22 lorry driver. It's none. I lied, I'm sorry. And really, no amount of explaining can stop you people from judging me. It's really a game you have to try for yourself. Check out the free demo and who knows, maybe it will surprise you just as it did me. Oh, also there's customization so you can have rude words written on the front of your lorry. Beautiful. Number 1 on this list goes to a game that is absolutely terrible. The graphics are shocking, the gameplay is clunky, the PC version is locked at a resolution of 1280 by 720 and capped at 30 FPS, and overall it is just a really bad game. It is also one of my favourite games of all time. Yep, what is there to say about Deadly Premonition? It's a terrible game, but I love it, and is a game that polarised reviewers when it first came out, with scores ranging from a 10 out of 10 at Destructoid to a measly 2 out of 10 with IGN. So what gives? Well, Deadly Premonition is a very unique game. It's an open-world, third-person shooter, murder mystery survival horror game with an incredibly well-written story and a whole host of really weird characters. It's an incredibly weird game with a whole lot of charm, and really its charm is what makes me love it so much. When you go on long car journeys, the main character will talk to you about old movies he watched as a teenager and give you fun little pop quizzes as you drive. Why not go fishing in the river and catch a garbage? Why not enter another dimension inhabited by flesh-eating zombies and a hooded murderer wielding a massive fire axe? From a gameplay standpoint, it's awful, but the story, the characters, the uniqueness of the entire game has made it one of my favourites of all time. And going into it, I did not expect that at all considering how bad the game is technically. Sweary, you beautiful bastard. Hey guys, thanks for watching my second top 10. If you liked what you saw, you can click the annotation to check out some of my other guff. And more importantly, if you liked DuckyGamerDeluxe's part, you can check out some of his videos by clicking on his annotation. If there were any games that surprised you that weren't on this list, I would love to hear from you in the comments. And also, apologies for any of the audio guffs that were in this video. I have a new microphone and just look at it. What the fuck do I do with this?
Usha, sorry to keep you waiting.
Ah, you made it. Let's get started, shall we?
This is Agent Morgan from the FBI.
Nice to meet you. I'm Usha Johnson, the doctor in this hospital.
FBI Special Agent Francis York Morgan. Please call me
John C.